He fires the sacred minerals. He fires the sacred minerals. He moves in our hearts. Yes, he speaks in our hearts. He speaks in our hearts. Yes, he speaks in our hearts. He speaks in our hearts. He speaks in our hearts. He carries our prayers to the gods. 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 How am I doing on time here, John?
Got about 7 minutes left.
Oh, I'm doing great. It's like, you know, when you get down to it, you're like 20 minutes is really short. When you've been writing for 50 years, you know. But anyhow, this is called Come Cracked. You know, the next couple poems are kind of in the voice of that grandfather fire voice. This is called Come Cracked. Don't come to the sacred brimming with knowledge. The mystery of the self can never be revealed at the altar of accomplishment. Come cracked, come leaking, come empty. What you cherish in the chalice of the mind is no more than a thimble of salt water compared to the vast ocean wave of wisdom crashing on the shore of the present. Come cracked, come leaking, come empty. So much has been lost, so much broken and forgotten. You and I, any of us, are orphans lost in a fog of separation. Admit it, your loneliness, confusion, and despair. Come cracked, come leaking, come empty. And though the divine calling may be inchoate as the cries of seabirds, don't try to make sense. Come cracked, come leaking, come empty. There is no need to prove your worth. Forget who you think you are. Even as a human orphan, you are so much more than you imagine. Come cracked, come leaking, come empty. Look, that terrifying wave is really the fountain that bubbles through all creation. You can be filled to overflowing, but don't come with your cup full. Come cracked, come leaking, come empty. Yeah. This is called The Thing Is. It's not your life. Sure, you inhabit it as the crab keeps the shell then casts it off. Why do we call them hermits anyway, scuttling out of the froth, swarming, multicolored and various, living the good life? But the point is, you are not a hermit, unless of course you are living alone in a cave or hut, and even then, your life depends on the lives around you, the mushrooms, berries, and nuts, the fish, the occasional rabbit or squirrel. I've heard your conversations with the fir tree and the fire. I've seen how lovingly you've lain in the duff. You're a long way from alone. Your life belongs to the stream, the trees, the living soil, the sun, and melodious wind. Like any of us who live this modern illusion, jammed and angry on the freeway, cursing the conditions of life. Sure, you can pick the radio station. You can call your mom. You can pretend you're utterly alone. And at home, you can choose any number of screens. Scream at the local team. Post your virtual friends. There is no end of options. If this lover seems too needy, you can Tinder another. You don't even have to go to the par. Pleasure and comfort, that's what you want, and who can blame you when there's more and more and more? But the simple truth is, it's not your life. Something vast and unfathomable has called you to this place, and 10,000 generations who kept the land as the land kept them are lined up behind you. And 10,000 more are waiting in line, watching to see what you will do. How will you shape the lives before you? Listen, you belong to this earth, to the soil and sun, the wind and rain, the holy fire that calls you home. Your life belongs to the eternity that brought you here, and the drums in the wind are beating your name, calling for your presence, your awareness, and purpose. Wake up, dear heart. Your life is not your own. That's funny. It's called There Is a Listening. There's a listening deeper than sound, like the angel who whispers urgently just before I wake. And maybe the tone is a color, the flame of a secret candle burning in the impenetrable dark. And it radiates rhythmically, sometimes smaller, then larger, sometimes loud enough that I think it might be heard. But there are no words, just as the angel will not appear winged and shining in daylight. She, a constant presence, formless, forming, formed, isolate, everywhere and nowhere, no one's mine and not mine, the divine thrum of stones, the essential stillness of wind, the unquenchable thirst of rain, every being in the paradox of being, singing the mortal song, I am, though it was not and will not be except in this present presence, eternal and passing, so that I, listening, hear 10,000 voices and nothing, and in that nothing, in the whisper of the angel in my sleep, the song of everything that sings. This is this is kind of an invitation to the fire. It's called Come to the Fire. You who walk in a desert of high contrasts, of stark light and dark shadows, high boulders and deep sands, alone in the day heat and the night cold, come, sit by the fire, speak your heart. You who stumble in the thick of the forest, surrounded by hemlock and cedar, snared by brambles, circled by unknown birds, frightened by field mice and the shadows of ferns, come, sit by the fire, be calm, listen. You who stand silent on the mountain peak, isolate among the ice ridges in the glacial presence, seeing the city spread out in filth and pestilent air, indignant at the waste and glut and greed, come, warm yourself, tell us your story. You who lay beside our mother, the sea, oiled and luxuriant among the voluptuous bodies, lusting vaguely after one, then another, sipping sweet liqueurs, pleasantly numb, come, give us a joke, sit among us. You in your neighborhood of lawns and fences, in your house of order, air-conditioned, contained between gleaming floors and walls softly painted, your alarm set against neighbors you do not know, turn off your big screen, open your door, come. You, edgy in the asphalt alley, angry, unemployed, oppressed, and hopeless, estranged from your family, hunted by authority, in your pocket a $10 rock that makes you feel like God. Come to the fire. Show us your godliness. You who are alone and lonely in the city, faceless in the crowds, unknown by love, driving the night streets aimlessly, drinking yourself to sleep and waking to no one, come. Sit by the fire, speak your name. You who live encased by wealth, surrounded by society, but separate from the people, gathering more than you can ever spend, but needing it, the layers of security and privilege, don't be afraid, we will not eat you, come. You who have studied the paths of the Spirit, who have opened yourselves in meditation and prayer, and learned the names of God, the many manifestations, or learned one name, one path, come, share your wisdom among us. When all have gathered by the sacred fire, our faces painted by the dancing light. We will speak our hearts, each one of us. We will speak long into the night. Each will find a place. Our beauties will be known.